Okay, so any two of those will work, and I don't think there's any other possibility there. Number two, you just have to draw any old line, AB. So you could have drawn this line. And don't forget the arrows because they need to be there, A and B. 3, hopefully you know how to graph negative 3, 0, which is right here. And E is 0, negative 3, which is right there. If you don't, come in and see me and then draw a line. But don't forget to include the little arrows at the end. And you may think that you've done it and done it right and not put the arrows in. No, you haven't, because they asked for a line, not a segment. And even if you just draw it without the arrows, doesn't mean it's a line, even though it may go past the points themselves. Okay, number 4, name the line segment. Those are the only two choices. It's not correct without those little lines there. Make corrections. When you take your test and we take your homework quizzes, the way to study for is go back and look at your homework. And when you take your test is, can you go and do this again? Can you name the segment for number 4? Number 5, draw and label the line segment AB. Well, there's one. Some of you may not like to be like that. Maybe you want to do it this way. Certainly not wrong. You can flip it anywhere you want. 6, use a ruler to find the measure of AB. Did anybody measure that? 15.5. She's more precise than me. I got 6. Are you in centimeters? Oh, okay. And it didn't say, did it? Oh, it's centimeters. Okay. Did it say inches? How many inches? 6. Do you know the conversion? 1 inch equals 2.54 centimeters. Now, why do I care? I go to Egypt a lot. And everything's over there is in metric. So then last night when I talked to my husband, I said, well, how much is gasoline? It's 2 pounds, not an English pound, it's an Egyptian pound, per 1 liter. The question I'm going to leave for you, until I get back on Friday, is how much is that for us? 2 pounds. I'll tell you right now, 1 pound is equivalent to about 15 cents. So you can go out and get a really nice dinner for like 5 pounds. 75 cents, you can get a really nice dinner over there. So it's very, very cheap. And then now you have to figure out how many liters there are in a gallon. I'll just kind of leave that open for you to think about. Because I was curious, how does it compare? Very nice to compare. It should be cheaper than here, right? They refine their own gasoline. This is Egypt. Okay, we'll do a little world. Knowledge of the world. So it should be cheaper over there. Excuse me. It's my allergies acting up. Okay. And then on 7 and 8, just get a ruler. You will need to get a little ruler. Just, I have some here. I don't have a lot. But feel free to use mine. Okay, I lied. Wrong drawer. I have some in here. They're a little piece. I'll get more rulers. But yes, you should get a ruler, and you probably need a protractor. And you will probably, I can't get that one out. You'll probably need a compass. I'm not sure what we're going to do with compasses, but I know we'll do something. Okay. Turning the page. Not a big deal if you didn't get that done. Draw 2 segments that are the same midpoint. This was interesting. I liked kind of the way there were a couple ways to see it. I see this question like this. But I'll bet, I know there were in the other class, there are some of you see the problem like this, where here's my original segment, and there's my midpoint for the big segment. And then they put another segment on top of it or within it, and there's the midpoint for the other segment, having the same midpoint. So I'm interested to see how many of you saw it this way. Yeah, I saw it that way, which is the way most of us will see it. I think that's great. That's a great way of thinking. I don't know if I would have written that answer down. Okay, number 10, there is just, I don't know what, can I move this? Nope. See, that's why I'll do my own thing. It's goofy. But on number 10, I think there's really only basically one way to do it. So you draw ST, which is right here, and then it says M is the midpoint. Label it. And you should put these little marks here because that means that these two segments are congruent. They have the same length. And then SP, there's another point P, such that the length of S to P and P to T are the same. Now, they have 3 tick marks because they're not the same size as these. They could be, but I don't know if they are. And then it says T is the midpoint of P to Q. So you're going to have to draw PQ and have to draw that this segment equals that segment. That might have been a little bit of a challenge. That's an R3. Now, when we get to Marzano, when I learn more about it, I'll teach you more about it. R4 is the toughest ones. I'm going to warn you right now, when you do calculus or pre-calculus or any of that stuff, really you're going to be at an R3, R4 level. The left one? Oh. Where's Q? Oh, number 10. Do I have anything? Oh, Q to M. No, you don't have to, but you can. This is no. Doesn't have to be closed. Like she wants to draw from Q to M. No, you don't need to do that. You can. Not wrong. Okay, 11. This is all goofy, but anyway, it's AC, or what's another way to name 11? Can't do BC. AC, because you're beginning at A. Whoops, not AC, AB. So what's important here is that you begin here and that you have this little ray drawn above those letters. So if you don't have it, make sure you put it in now. And then number 12, do I have, oh, there's the answers for 12. X is where we begin. So it's X to Y or X to Z. Only answers I can think of. 13, draw and label array YX. You could have also done something like this. Here's Y, here's the beginning, and here's X out here. Whoops. As long as you begin with Y and the arrows goes away from it. Is that okay? Number 13, draw a plane. So there's the answer, but I would draw a plane. I usually like to give mine a little thickness here, even though planes don't have any thickness. That's just the way I'm used to seeing them. And it says I have 4 coplanar points, A, B, C, D, and A, B, and D lie on a line. So I'm going to draw my line first and put in A, and you probably did it in the same order in which it was written, A, B, D. And then I'm going to have another point, C, but it's not on the line, but it's in the plane. C could be anywhere. C could be over here. It doesn't matter. It just can't be on the line. And a few of you didn't get to the last few problems, so let's do those right now. If you didn't get there, let's do them. They're not that bad. Okay, 15 says draw segment AB. If you go beyond A and B, it's wrong. So we're going to draw a segment AB, and they tell you B is at positive 2, negative 6 right here, and A is already on your grid, and that's all you draw. That's it. Nothing beyond that. But 16, draw the line containing points C and D. C is at negative 2, 1. D is at negative 2, negative 3, and I want that line. Has nothing to do with A. Yes, you need the arrows, because it's not right without it, because that doesn't mean line if you don't. And sometimes you're going to catch me on it, so that's okay. Catch me on it. Tell me that I goofed that up. Okay, write it in right now if you don't have it. Draw a segment with midpoint negative 3, 2. There are a lot of ways to do it. First, here's negative 3, 2. And the answer I've got on here is not the only answer. You just have to count an equal number of spaces either side. Now, you can do it vertically, you can do it horizontally, you can do it diagonally. So I could just go up here to 1, down there to 1, but my board's out of alignment. Sorry. swear I never win this game. Okay. So, or you could do 2. Let's do 2 units here, and then put a point there, and then 2 units there. Or you could do it sideways. You could go 3 units here, and then 3 units there. It doesn't matter. There's a whole bunch of answers to this one. Now, if you want to do something like the last picture, you can. You don't have to have a horizontal or vertical line. You could go over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, up 1. You could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, down 1. And now that segment's equal to that segment. Lots of possibilities. So if you want me to check any of those, I can. There's an infinite number of possibilities for this answer. That makes it hard to do. Okay, the assignment for tonight is going to be doing LR1 Lesson 2, and it's 3 sides, again, just like last night. And I have to hand out my tools here, so bear with me. So the rest of the assignment is in the Smartboard notes that I've printed out for you, so you have it doubled. You don't have to do it twice, though. Okay, so what are we going to do today? We are going to name, I've already kind of talked about this, because I couldn't see how we could do yesterday without doing it. But we're going to name and label angles. We are going to measure and create angles using a protractor, and recognize and label congruent angles, define and label an angle bisector. It's all vocabulary. Again, so these are the protractors that you can borrow and use in class. And so let's go ahead and turn the page, because I can probably talk and do 2 things at one time. I think the bike thing is kind of interesting. I'm not a biker, and maybe we do have people here who race. My guess is that to have your maximum performance, you have to have those kind of angles. Those angles are congruent. It's that way to me. Okay. An angle is formed by 2 rays. It could be lines or line segments. Usually we talk about rays. Okay, and they share a common endpoint. That endpoint is called the vertex. Sort of like your beginning point. There we go. I got lucky on that. Oh, I got some more extra ones here too. Okay. So how we name an angle is the vertex is always in the middle. So if it may seem like I get picky, I'm going to be picky. That's always in the middle. When I name a triangle, it doesn't matter, because all 3 sides, all 3 vertices are all vertices. Okay, so when naming an angle, you use the angle symbol and 3 letters. That's one way to do it. If there's no confusion, I figure you might want to do it. If there's no confusion about what angle we're talking about, you can name it just by the vertex. So I don't like, honestly, I don't like to read this. This is hard for me to read, ABC, CBA. I'd rather just call this angle right here, call it angle B. Now be careful. We have angles and we have less than symbols. You see the difference? That's a less than. And when you want to compare them, you got to be really particular about that, and that's an angle, especially if you're reading. Now there's a ton of geometry in the ACT. So as we go through it, and I'm tutoring somebody on ACT material, so I'll have a better idea what geometry you need to know. But I may say, mark this someplace in your notebook for ACT materials, because you know what? You're not going to take the ACT for a couple more years. You still have to know the geometry. So you may want to take some notes and say, I need this in a couple of years. I'll just write this down, and then when you review it, it'll come back. I promise you, it'll come back. So name the size of the angle below. I don't see an angle below. So let me get my packet here. Is that the right part? No, there it is. It says above. Oh, I can read. I'm a little dyslexic. Okay, So name the sides. Now be careful, these are made of rays, especially the way it's drawn. What are the sides? What's the name of this side? BA. Is that good enough? No, I need that little ray symbol above there. Different than your other math classes, isn't it? Because this is all about notation. And what is another ray? B, C. Okay, that's it. No other way to name those sides. Now we're going to measure our angles. Okay, so we're going to measure them in degrees. And that's actually rather arbitrary. The Greeks did the degrees, and why they did, I don't know. Okay, so this is an acute angle. Do you remember acute angles are kind of cute? Remember that from elementary school math? And we are going to measure these angles. So does this protractor move? Oh, it does. So we're going to put that little dot, that circle there right at the point. You should do it with me. And it is a full circle, and then we're going to rotate this. We are going to rotate. There it is. And you want to see where this beginning ray is, which is over here, and measure from that. That's the one that's going to be at 0. So I'm going to start here and measure this way. So how many degrees is that little acute angle? 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. You should use your protractor. Did I give you one? Okay. So make sure that you can use them. Because we're going to have a quiz on this, test or whatever, and you're going to have to be able to use a protractor. Shall we try doing the obtuse angle? Now, obtuse angles, they're the bigger ones. Obtuse angles, let's call this angle A. And the measure of angle A, which we write like this, the biggest it could be is 180 degrees if it's obtuse, and the smallest it could be is 90 degrees. And the acute angles, while I'm here, call that measure, let's call that angle B here. The measure of angle B is going to be between 90 degrees and 0 degrees. I didn't use equalities because that's not what they are. If it's 0 degrees, you really don't have an angle. But if it's 90 degrees, what do you have if you have 90 degrees? It's a right angle. So the measure of angle C is equal to 90 degrees. Well, let's use our protractor. Compass, protractor. I'm going to slide that, and let's go ahead and measure my obtuse angle. Okay, so do it with me. Don't just watch. Watching doesn't do any good. Put this little circle here right there on the dot. You should have a circle on yours, right? And then we have to rotate this. Can you let me rotate it? No. Mine's a little different, so I'm going to have to do it this way. You get that line right on the 0. And so how many degrees is that one? Careful. We want the obtuse angle. So I'm going to start here and go all over. I know it's backwards, isn't it? In pre-calc, we do everything backwards. 100 and, well, this is 120, 130. Not quite 140. It looks like 140. Not 140. Sorry. It's 130. There's 135. It looks like it's 136. Do you guys agree? Raise your hand if you have a problem, because we got 2 teachers in here, so we can get around to you. So you're reading off the inside reading because my ray goes that direction. Yeah. And so you might want to use your pencil to draw over here. You may have to draw it. You may have to extend it. Yeah. How would I use the outer one? Let me give you a picture. You may have to draw it. You might have to extend it. Mine extends. Unfortunately, yours doesn't. So if I did, let's see. Actually, what I'm going to do here, I'm going to show you what I mean by you might have to extend it. Let's say I want to measure that angle, right? Doesn't fit. say, how do I lock it? So I'm going to bring this over here. And I didn't, and then I'm going to put that right on the line there. And I don't know where it goes, so I'm going to have to take my pencil and draw this. Now, am I reading the inside scale or the outside scale? You're starting here. You're going to do inside. So it's between 120 and, mine is 120 and 130. So there's 125. You know, if you get 126, 127, that looks good. Let me do one facing the other way. Let's do an acute one. There. Now I'm going to drag this, because now it's a different scale. Now you know it's acute, right? So what do the measures have to be? Between 0 and, what's the biggest that could be? Yeah, oh, well, not quite 90, but 90, pretty close. Which scale am I going to read on this one now? Inside or outside? Outside. It's where this ray, it's the one, or that one goes through the 0. So it's 10, 20, 30, 40. There's 50. Looks like 59 degrees about on mine. And you have some things to practice with in your packet. Okay, reading that? Okay. And I've already done this. How do you say that the measure of my angle is 31 degrees? So I'm going to do this backwards. This is S. What letter must this be? C. T. Now, I made mine of segments. I can make them raised. It doesn't really matter. If I want to talk about the measure of this angle, then I use this M. And actually, it should be measure of angle. Should look like that, SCT. Now, that is probably because of the smart board and what we can do with it while they use that. But it really should look more like that than that. That looks like a less than sign. Okay, so are we in the same right place? Because sometimes this doesn't match up. So on page 4, congruent angles have the same measurements. I'm so lazy. I don't have any letters. I don't want to name this with letters. I want to name this angle 1 and that angle 2. And I can do that. The only way you can do that is for you to draw it on your diagram. You're going to be drawing on your iPads or on your papers. You have to draw your diagrams. I want angle 1 to be congruent to angle 2. If I want to talk about the measures of it, then I say the measure of angle 1 equals the measure of angle 2. This is saying that the angles are the same size. Their measures are equal. I should be able to pick up angle 2 and put it right on top of 1 and have it match. Anybody do any building at home? If you build in old houses, you got a problem with the doors. The corners of the doors should all be 90-degree angles, but in reality, in the old homes, they are not 90-degree angles. They get off a little bit. And when they're off a little bit, we say they're not square. So then we try to fit a door that is perfect into a doorway that is not perfect. It's a problem. Then you have to figure out how to solve your problem. I've got a door just like that. I can't get the thing closed, not correctly. So I'm going to have to bend it. It's metal, so I can bend it. But still. And guess what? If these are all 90 degrees, then that's what's true about all these angles. And my board's off a little bit. But they're all congruent then. Angles that have the same measure are congruent. So can you guys match this? Maybe we can do that. You know where the equals and the congruent signs go? What goes in between angle ABC and XYZ? That's congruent. Seems so picky, but it's so important. And what goes in here? The measures then would be equal. Some of you are saying, well, you've said that enough times. Well, not everybody's going to get it. Okay, now we're going to have some fun. We're going to draw some angles. All right. Okay, and I got a little protractor there. So what you're going to do is you can draw a ray. You've already got an array drawn, which is fine. And then we're going to set our protractor at 0 degrees. And it doesn't say what the angle we want. What angle would you like to make? 50 degrees? Bigger? Now, the ray is on this one. So it's this scale where the 0 hits. So if I go to 50 degrees, I'm going to do my best to mark it right there. Set my lines off a little bit. And I can cheat. If you don't have a straight edge, you can't do this. But I can do it. There. If you had Smartboard software, you could do it. Used to be you could get it for free. Not anymore. I wish you could, because it would make this so much easier. And there it is. I can move this little guy out of the way, and there's my angle. Measure of angle B is 50 degrees. There you go. You want to try a bigger angle? Do you want a different ray? They should have told us how many degrees. It would have been nice to practice. And one other thing, if you want to be able to get started on your homework and get this finished up, is that okay with drawing them? So when you look through your assignment, look to make sure that you don't need a protractor. If you do, do those problems when you're here, because I've got them here for you. An angle bisector, we talked about that yesterday. It can be a ray, it can be a line segment, it can be a line. But this ray right here, in this case, it's a ray, divides the angles so that these two angles are equal. And usually I like to put a little tick mark in. I can put this kind of a tick mark if I want. Actually, I like the little, oh, how about a circle? Or I could do 3 little dashes. It doesn't matter. Something that sets us apart from something else. Okay, so let's see if we can, using what I have here, what is bisecting what? What's the angle? I'd like to start there first. What's the angle? What's this big angle right here? Well, I don't know I don't know what it measures, but what's the name of that angle? M. What has to come next? A. H. Okay, what bisects that angle? That ray. How do you name the ray? A. T. And I am so lazy, I want to say these angles are congruent. I could name this angle. What's the name of this angle right here? Angle what? M-A-T is congruent to angle. What's the other name? T-A-H. Whoops. Can I call that angle A, or is there confusion? Can I call this angle angle A? Well, this could be angle A. How many angles are using this vertex? More. There's 3. That's what we're going to do in geometry. Start seeing things that we never saw before. There's 3 angles. I have these 2, and then I also have the angle MAH. Now, if I'm in the homework and I don't want to write those 3 letters down, fine, don't. Call this 1, call that 2. There you go. Angle 1 is congruent to angle 2. It's okay to do that, provided you tell me what you're calling 1 and 2. And there it is, right there in my diagram. Now you have iPads, so the diagrams are pretty much going to be there, so you're in luck. But back in the old days, when you did your homework on a piece of paper, you have to draw the diagrams. So I don't have to tell you to do that, which is really kind of nice, actually, for you. Okay, give me another name for angle 1. I don't want to use congruent. How about this? Angle 1. I'll put a colon there. What's another name for that? Yes. J, K, M. Does anybody have another name for that? Because there's two answers here. Yes. MKJ. Good. Okay, what about angle 2? I'll have you guys come up to the board too sometime soon. Whoops, can't read angle 2. I can. What's angle 2? MKL or angle LKM. Some of you are going to insist on calling it angle K. Well, I don't know which one you're talking about. So if it's not obvious, you can't do it. Okay, so what we did was we named angles today, we bisected angles, we measured with protractors. Get it right, make sure I did it right. And we drew angles with protractors, and that's what the assignment's going to be. There. So name the angle in 3 different ways. What are the 3 ways you can name this angle? There's the easy way. Let's give me one. TEN. There's another one. NET. I think you probably want to stay with the white packet, to tell you the truth. And angle E. I like that. How about the other one? We have a whole bunch of angles. By the way, does anybody know what this angle is called? It forms a straight line. It's called angle FOR. What kind of angle is it? If it forms a, what? It's a straight angle. You've heard that before? Some of you yes, some of you no. And its measures 180 degrees. And we'll review a lot of algebra when we get into things like that. Right now we're just learning how to name in geometry. So we got the straight angle. How do you want to name this one? Somebody want to come up and put their answers up here? Or you want me to just tell me? I don't care. What's angle 1? What's another name for that? Angle what? FOU and angle what? UOF. There are no other choices. How about this guy? Yeah. Yeah, UOR. What's another one? ROU. And what's the easiest one? Angle 2. I prefer those. And if it's not there, I put it in. Oh, what's another way to name angle FOR? Arf, arf, arf. My doggies. ROF. Rough. Get it? This straight angle can be named FOR or ROF. Rough. Arf, arf. That's Mickey. Arf, arf, arf. So you still have, and we'll leave just a couple minutes early so you can get off to lunch. So you have some time. You have about 10 minutes to work on this. Now, you can use straight edges. I don't care. It's kind of nice. I'm not that familiar with Notability to know if you have straight lines on there or not, at all or not. The protractor is, you're going to read it right off. It's on page 10. Okay, number 12. Do number 12 because it says use a protractor to find the measure of the angle. You're here. You got protractors right now. Get that one done, and I don't have them labeled as to what the Marzano is. And the same with 13. You have to find the measure of angle SON. And on 14, you're going to have to measure to see if which one's bigger, small or big. 15 is also a protractor, and 16 is a protractor. And the rest is going to extend you more into geometry. But do the protractor ones. Since you're here, you can get those done in 10 minutes. Okay, let me stop this. I can do it this way.